Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
The truth shall set you free.
You can't handle the truth.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
That's not how the Force works. Oh, really? You're cold?
I'm gonna make him an offer again.
I'd buy that for $1.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Hasta la vista, baby.
I don't have friends. I got family.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
I can do this all day.
Yeah, I know.
Hello and welcome to the Creative Control Movie Podcast. Thank you very much for joining us for episode 24 as we discuss our top 10 horror movies, just in time for Halloween. Joining me on today's show, we have our regulars. We have Sacha, Sal, Neil, Lee, who's now become a regular, Mr. Journey. But we also have, for the first time appearing on Creative Control, Lee Dixon. Thank you very much for joining the show. Lee's here because he's a horror fan. So this was like... This was his entry point. He's like, this is the one I'm going to appear on. This is where I make my mark. Because he's like, I got to take Neil down. He's like, Neil's a horror man as well, so we're going to have some Clash of Titans here.
There is no taking me down. Like, Freddy versus Jason ended in a draw.
You're up for it, Neil, yeah? That's good, that's good.
All right, so if you've checked out our previous top 10 episodes, the way that we've do it is we want to make it a creative control top 10. It's not about necessarily the best top 10, it's our favorites, our top 10 list. So what we're going to do is we're going to go around the virtual room and everyone's going to give their nomination. This is their non-negotiable. This is their movie. It has to go in our top 10 list. That's going to give us 6. Then we're going to go through the recommendations we got from our friends on Twitter, who they shouted out their movies they wanted to put on. So we're going to vote on the best one from our Twitter fans. And then we're going to debate those 3 open spots, because that'll be 7 by the time it is. So there's going to be game on for those last 3 spots, and we'll fight it out and see who wins. Ultimately, it's going to be coming down to voting for those 3 spots. So I'll open it up before I start nominating. Does anybody want to kick us off with their movie? This has got to go in Creative Control top 10 horror movies. Oh, there's silence. There's silence.
Everybody's silent.
John Carpenter's The Thing. You know,
Okay, Sasha's kicked off. John Carpenter's The Thing.
Excellent. That was on my list.
Sasha, talk to us about this movie.
Come on, man. It's like one of the greatest ever made, man. It's got Kurt Russell in it, and it's by John Carpenter. What more do you want, man? I think the only thing that could top this is probably maybe Halloween 1, but no, you know what? Halloween don't have no Kurt Russell. It's all about McCready and flamethrowers. Done. And when the bit with the dog happens, ooh, that's nuts. But yeah, The Thing.
That's how it starts. The movie starts with a dog.
Yeah.
No, not that dog.
Yeah.
You know, when he transforms and the spider head and all of that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so who else had The Thing on their list?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, wow. So, Neil, you're the only one.
It was in my 20, but not in my 10.
What?
You know what?
What?
That is interesting.
Listen, right? Like, you gotta remember, I watch a lot of horror films.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, I have to admit, there is one scene in The Thing that I'm like, that scene makes it worthy of entry. But the rest of the movie, I can't hold a whole film based on one scene.
Yeah,
interesting. So, which scene is it that you feel is that's
it's the defibrillator scene.
Oh, yeah.
When he's doing the defibrillator, as soon as his hands went in, I went this year, this Halloween season, I went and watched that at Prince Charles Cinema, and I went there with someone who's never seen The Thing, and it was me and like 2 other people who'd seen The Thing, and this one guy who hadn't. And when that scene was about to happen, we was watching him more than the movie.
Yeah.
We was like, wait, just watch. And then when it happened, he had the reaction, and I was like, yeah.
That is it. Yeah, look, I'll admit, I'm not a horror super fan. You know, I'll watch some of the mainstream ones. There's probably a lot of ones that you guys might even, we might mention, and there's some that came on Twitter that I hadn't watched before, so it's be interesting to see, because I think I watched more horror when I was younger. But as I go into my 20s, 30s, it's just not a genre I kind of went to. I went off some recommendations where people were like, yeah, you know, go see this and I'll do that. But it's not something that I'd definitely go out to the cinema to watch or even watch at home. So, okay, so that is our first film on the list. We have The Thing from Sacha. We're going to move over to Sal. Sal, what is your top 10 pick?
For me, it will be The Exorcist.
The Exorcist.
Yeah, that was in my list.
That's the only movie that actually has scared the crap out of me. But I think it's because I watched it very young. I think I was about 8 or 9 years old when I watched it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I couldn't sleep. I could like hear the girl's voice, just there. And I could think, oh, it's not there, it's not there. No. That weird noise she would make before she would start speaking. Like, that crap. Anyway, but yeah, that's the only thing scared the crap out of me. And since then and now, even now when I watch it, it reminds me of it again. And I'm back at it when I'm like 9 years old in my head. I think it's the atmosphere that these films are creating as well, like The Thing, like the setting, the soundtrack. It's just like, and same with The Exorcist, soundtrack, setting, is everything about it. It just makes it eerie and it just sets the tone.
Yeah.
Which is really good.
Because The Exorcist doesn't have a lot of scope in terms of sets, right? Because
no, it's just one room.
90% of it's probably in that house.
90% one room. And an alleyway, and I think...
And the desert.
The staircase, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and the desert in the beginning. Yes, you're right. It starts off there, yeah.
Okay.
But it is...
There's a lot of atmosphere.
Something that's engaging. Sorry,
There's
a
lot
of
atmosphere in that room. Mm-hmm. And the soundtrack as well, right? Iconic.
Soundtrack is so famous. I mean, the original soundtrack, I think the credits tune and the way it starts, it literally gives you the eerie feeling, what it's meant to do. It brings you into the movie and cuts you off from the rest of the world, and that's how you should be when it comes to horror movies. Because if you're still thinking about stuff like, I gotta buy bread, I gotta get milk, I gotta change my tires and all that crap, you're not really watching the movie until this loud sound comes on and you're like, oh shit, something just happened.
Okay, so The Exorcist came out in like 1973, right? So obviously it was really controversial at the time. Lots of places were banning it, pulling it. Certain cinemas in certain regions were pulling it. We've had various edits of the movie, especially when it comes to like TV and cable and all that kind of stuff, where some scenes have been pulled and stuff like that. There's one scene that's in very few versions, which is where she does the spider walk, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which not a lot of people have probably even seen.
That interesting tidbit on that, Ken, right? That scene has never in any DVD released, and I have multiple, that scene in its entirety has never been shown.
Wow.
No, I have it on tape.
Because you see the bit where she goes down the stairs, and you see the bit where she gets to the end of the stairs and like she turns in the living room, but you never see what happens next, which is she chases her mum around the living room.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want that.
It's like the Mandela effect. It's like you think you've seen it, but you actually haven't. Do you know what I mean? No. It's like it is one of those things. It won plenty of awards at the time when it came out. Academy Award for Best Writing, Adapted Screenplay, Best Sound Mixing, Golden Globes, Best Supporting Actress, Best Motion Picture. It won,
and it got banned, didn't it?
And Best Director.
Yeah. It got banned.
It was movie. Everyone says, "Yeah, your movie's brilliant. We're going to nominate you for an award, but we just don't want the general public to see this."
Yeah. There's also, I think, a lot of the countries who are heavy Catholic countries, they banned them. I mean, especially like the South American countries. And I think there was like few states in America, like them, I think, didn't want it around either. But it's sort of, when you ban something, it becomes even bigger. Mm-hmm. That sort of thing happened. Yeah.
It's a bit controversial. Like she's sticking a crucifix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what?
That was one of the reasons. Yeah.
It's when
it's a bit mad. Like.
Do you think you'd still get the same reaction if it was released today?
No.
No.
In some countries, but not everywhere. No.
I don't think it would, because like
they wouldn't do that scene. I think.
I mean, the thing is, those films were made, and it was like the whole film is going to shock you. The whole film, the tension, everything that happens is going to get under your skin.
Mm-hmm.
If they made it nowadays, it would be like, okay, that scene where it's like, she's playing with the cross, that would be a centerpiece moment. that scene would be made to shock you, not all of this horrible stuff is happening and all of it should shock you. It's just like, okay, this bit's going to be nasty and it's going to shock you. And it would be like, it'd be in the trailer, like you'd see like her hand go up with the bloody cross and then it goes down and you don't know where it's going or what she's doing, but you know something happens with the bloody cross. And it gets spoiled, it gets ruined.
Yeah, you're right. Because the thing that when they watch that movie, it's whenever they're in the room, the tense starts. It's like being in that room. It's the whole thing. It's shocking from her, the way she speaks, the noises, the movement of the stupid bed. That bed was the most loose bed in the world. It kept on jumping, moving left and right, flying in the air, whatever it was. And
I think it was below
and the faces
in that room as well.
Yeah,
you could see like ridiculous.
And the faces of the priest and his assistant were also like gold because you could see the horror on their face because you could tell, especially the assistant's trying his best not to break, but you can see he's shitting himself, and that sells it.
The Exorcist 2, The Heretic, that did not do so well. That's probably going to be on the worst list of horror movies ever made, potentially. There are some others. You had The Exorcist 3, Exorcist The Beginning in 2004, and Dominion, prequel to The Exorcist in 2005.
There's a TV show as well.
Yeah, it's a TV series, right? Yeah.
Which is, you know what? I watched season 1 recently, as in last week, and I love it.
Oh, really?
Okay. With a TV show?
I'm going to be blunt. I'm going to drop a spoiler. So if you ain't seen this TV show, tough shit, but like, I'll give you a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2. It's a continuation of the first film, and the daughter is the mum in the new one.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
He's Regan, isn't it? I saw it. I saw the TV show.
I was watching it, and then when that happened, because in the very first episode, there is like they show you a news article about the original events.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, that's different, because I thought the show was a remake.
Yeah.
So then when it happened and the show's going on, and then you get like 2/3 of the way through, and it's revealed that the mum, played by Gina Davis, was Regan. She's the main character in the original Exorcist. Oh man, I was like, okay, now you're getting what's
that's cool. That's got me intrigued. All right, I'm gonna have to check that out. So
it's only 2 seasons, so you can knock it out.
It's like 10 episodes a season.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so that's our second film, The Exorcist. No questions. I remember having that on my ringtone for long times. Right, let's move on. So, Mr. Lejournet, what is your pick for the top 10 list?
It was difficult, but I think I'm going to go for Alien.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah. I think
that's a classic.
I'd say it's one of those that the first time I saw it, like, couldn't really watch it. No, it's just, I just think everything about it. Great cast, the setting again, the music. It just had everything there, really. It's great. I know it's obviously quite an old film, but
it's a good shout.
It wasn't really, apart from the one main scene, it wasn't really that gory. But I think the good thing about it, it plays on your mind. It leaves your imagination runs wild. You know, you can imagine what's going on.
Some of the best horrors is where you don't see the character.
Yeah, it's a bit like I'm getting a bit off topic here, but it's a bit's like in Scarface with the chainsaw scene where you don't have to see the army; you just know what's going on, and actually it's worse in your head.
Yeah, it's your imagination.
But it's a bit like that. It's it's not too gory, but just say the setting and everything like that just scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, no, it's a good shout. There's a lot of films that will cross the genres, and definitely I can see Alien more so from the other ones where it's more of the horror style. Aliens is going to be obviously more action based, stuff like that. But the first one,
I thought about Aliens, and I did think there was a difference in the films. The first one was definitely set up like a sci-fi horror.
Yeah.
in space, no one can hear you scream. So it's like
that's it. Set you up from the trailer and the poster. Okay, so did anybody else have Alien on their list out of interest?
Not me. I have it as a sci-fi film, but he makes the right. I mean, when he said it, my brain just went, "Yeah, that's right." The first one was definitely a horror more than sci-fi.
Well, that's why I asked.
They really don't show anything else
as horror, because I know what you're saying. It is kind of sci-fi, but at the same time, I thought, well, I found it pretty scary. So
no, it's definitely a horror film. I mean, like Alien 1 and Alien 3 are definitely horror films.
Mm-hmm. It's more horror than sci-fi, actually. You're right about that. It's simply because, other than the first, I think, first two sequences, after that, there's no spaceship, there's nothing. It's just them talking or running away from the unknown.
That's it, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So that's our third film. That's a solid pick. Right. So let's go to Lee D. Let's have your pick for the top 10.
I went with a classic. I went with a film that basically it gave us trouble all sleeping at nights. I went with A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
It's on my list. Yeah.
That was going to be my choice if nobody else went first, because that one stuck with me most when I was younger. You know, it was the character, the visuals, the concept. It wasn't real, it was fantastical, but when you're going to sleep, it felt like it could be real. Do you know what I mean? It was just because I saw it when I was quite young as well. So, when did you first see it, Lee? Do you remember how old you were?
I remember seeing it when I was young. I think I was like about 5 or 6.
Damn.
And I know my dad was a bit of a bastard for that. Like literally, like because he was watching it, and after I'll never forget, he was watching the film, and after I said, "What are you watching?" And he said, "Oh, I'm watching this horror film." And I'll never forget. I said to him, "Oh, I want to watch it." He said, "No, you're too young for this. You know what I mean?" And I said, "No, I'm a big boy." And he said, "All right, then, big boy, let's sit down and watch it." But no, you're not sleeping in my room tonight, yeah. So obviously, when the movie had finished, like he said, "All right, cool, go to bed." And I said, and he was like, "No, go to bed." I went straight to bed. I'll never forget, I was up the whole night. I literally could not sleep. I was so scared I was literally like, I was shaking. I was like, you know what I mean, trying to go into my brother, my sister's room. They were like, "Nah, get out of the room." I was so scared. I literally was up the whole night. I was so scared to sleep. And then it's the character that plays on your mind, like, because you feel like it feels so real. As in, if you actually sleep, then you're just done for. You're finished with, man.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant.
Seriously.
My youngest aunt, my mom's sister, she's like 12 years older than me. She was 15 when she was watching this, and I was like 3. And her and her buddies are watching this thing, and I'm like sneaking around because she's meant to be babysitting me, right? I'm watching what they're watching, and they're watching Nightmare on Elm Street. And I remember seeing that scene where they get on the bed and the blood comes out. That dream sequence. Oh my God, I still remember that straight from then.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember the whole movie because I've seen it a couple of times, obviously, when I grew up. But I still remember that day that I was hiding behind the wall and sneaking a peek at that thing and catching that little sequence and then shit myself.
And it's the way it ends as well. It kind of leaves you on that note, like, was she dreaming? Was she not dreaming? He pulls her through like the glass door, isn't it?
He pulls the mum through. So you know what?
I think the one scene that proper got to me was when I think what was the friend's name? The girl with the blonde hair.
Tina.
Yeah, when she got killed, that part there, when she was getting dragged across the ceiling, and all the blood, and he was just killing her, like, and you couldn't see what was happening. Like, to me, that scene got me, like, oh my God, you know what I mean? And I think like that was just from the get go, because the way how like the film kind of started, it kind of started with her. So you probably thought she was the central character. Like, you're thinking, okay, like following this character, so she's the main one. And then when you see her get killed, you're like, oh my God,
it's like all bets are off, innit?
What the hell?
Yeah,
literally, it's just. Craven said, "Nah, let's just kill her off."
Brilliant.
It's strange how what you don't see scares you more than what you can see.
Yeah.
Because nothing is
100%.
scarier than your imagination.
Yeah.
So what you don't see, your imagination will amplify every kind of fear that you could possibly merge together. Like your imagination will basically make the ultra megazord of all your worst nightmares come true. And that is what's killing this person.
Yeah.
So true, man. 100%. But yeah, that was probably.
I think it's one of those films, the horror films that don't really explain and things are happening tend to be more scarier than the ones show you everything. Like The Shining, people love that film, but I always found it retarded because every time I watch it, I'm like, it's just a dude running with an axe trying to kill everybody, his whole family. That's it. There's nothing scary about this. Just a psycho dude running around.
But if you go into your bathroom and you see that lady in the bathtub,
and the two kids.
That's the scene that sticks with you from a horror point of view from that movie. But
I never thought I found that word called.
Okay.
After Omen, I never found that scary because that Omen, the kid walking on a tricycle all over the place, and people are dying. That I found more scary because again, you're not really seeing it.
Mm.
Right.
I actually think
good location though, hotel and the band's in the middle of nowhere. So
I think a case could be made that Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street is actually the greatest horror movie ever made.
Mm-hmm.
I think a very good.
I think it's definitely one of the greatest characters ever made.
It's definitely up there for it's definitely up there for argument. So
that's the thing.
Neil, what is your pick for the top 10?
Well, thank you to Lee because you put Nightmare on Elm Street in, and I was like killing my soul having to choose between that and the film that I'm picking. It should be on everybody should know there's only one big boy who's getting the nod from me.
I'm already typing it.
Motherfucking Myers. Halloween, 1978.
Sick
It has
movie,
to
bro.
be the big boy.
Sick movie. Good
that
movie.
That film started the slasher genre, which is arguably my favorite genre of horror films. And it's a chef's kiss of a movie.
How old were you when you first saw Halloween?
When I first saw Halloween, I reckon I was like 19.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
See, as much as I love horror now, I never used to.
Okay.
I'll give a little shout out to Chris Rodericks. Yeah, you're still like the shortest person on earth, but he got me into horror films. And I watched Halloween and I was like, okay, yeah. I used to think horror films were terrible. I watched Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, and The Exorcist, and I was like, okay, I was wrong. Horror films are good.
All right, so I want to get Sacha's take on this because Sacha, you hadn't seen Halloween up until a few weeks ago, right?
Oh, swear down, Sacha.
Okay, so
and if I'm correct, Sacha, you haven't seen A Nightmare on Elm Street either, have you?
No, I haven't. Okay, here's the thing. Horror isn't my genre. It never has been. Well, when I say that, I've seen horror films growing up. There's like a select through. So when I went to the Thing, I seen the Thing. All right, I seen the Thing, and I saw that at, like when I was like 15. So I was at an age where it's like, oh, okay, it's kind of cool. But I always avoided like Freddy Krueger because like kind of like Lee, I had a similar experience, but I didn't watch the whole movie. I saw enough to go, yeah, I ain't doing that movie, and fuck that Jason Brer too, and that Friday, anything to do with like Halloween, yeah, fuck that shit, man. Just like nah.
Sacha's like, I ain't got no point to prove.
Look, I was like, look, Predator was my foray point into horror, and that's not really horror because you have damn miniguns in that. If Arnie wasn't holding a minigun. You know what I mean? Like, no. So that's why when it came to horror, it was mainly Terminator, Predator, you know what I mean? Something where motherfuckers had guns and shit was dealt with. And but when you watch stuff like Halloween, like it's just a guy with the fucking meat cleaver or a big machete and shit. It's like, what? How are people getting murked by this guy? So I just kind of didn't really follow the genre. obviously in my teens, I tend to watch it more. So I'd say Scream had a huge impact on me. So Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and what The Faculty, whatever came out around the late 90s, early 2000s, I was there. I watched all of those movies, mainly because I worked in cinema. So I was watching everything. Then as I got older, you know, like we stopped having staff previews at Harrow and stuff, and because my introduction to horror was like cinema and staff previews and stuff, I like to watch it with an audience. So when you get the choice by yourself, you kind of don't pick that. So I watched everything except horror. There'll be the odd few like The Ring or Let the Right One In and The Grudge and stuff like that I'd catch because, you know, if it's like word of mouth that's popular, I'd probably go see it in the past 20 years. But, you know, all the small stuff, probably not, unless Joe really recommends it, like Wreck. Like Wreck is sick. Joe, if Joe was here, he'd be saying Wreck all day long, especially the second one. But like, just never really been my thing. So this Halloween, I was like, you know what? I'm going to pick one of these motherfuckers. I'm going to watch them. And, you know, there was a new Halloween film coming out. I was like, you know what? I'm going to start with Halloween. So I watched the original. Of course it's great. It's John Carpenter. I love John Carpenter. So watched it. Sick film. And then I saw the...
Did you feel it held up, even though obviously you knew the age of the movie, but did you enjoy it as much seeing it now as a first timer?
Yeah, I did, but then, I don't know, I think I'm different to most people because I don't look at films for when they were made, because I'm like, if a good film's a good film. You know what I mean? So I don't really look at that. So long as the story is executed well, I don't really give a shit. You know what I mean? Because I don't really look at stuff like that, because I watch all kinds of different films. So, like... sometimes when we do reviews on some films, sometimes I'll look at it and that'll be my initial audience response. And then when I sit back a few days or watch it again, I probably have a fresher, different opinion, if that makes sense. Like June, we reviewed June on this channel, and I was looking at like something what the mainstream kind of people would do. Fuck those people. That's old-fashioned good sci-fi. So fuck those people. That was filmed exactly the way it needed to be filmed, and it's a masterpiece. If it had been a crowd pleaser, then it wouldn't be a masterpiece. So yeah, I mean, it was what it was, and I gave it quite a high score. I gave it a 9 out of 10. Stick by that. Back to Halloween. My point is, back to Halloween, I watched it and I enjoyed the fuck out of it, and it made me want to watch more. So I watched that. I spoke to Dr. Neil to give me like what to watch next. He said, just go to 2018. I was like, are you sure? There's like 12 dozen sequels and shit. He goes, no, go to that. I think I saw Halloween 2, the sequel with Ken, randomly one time.
I think we watched it one night randomly. Yeah,
randomly, and we both thought it was shit.
Is it Jamie Lee Curtis Halloween 2?
Rob Zombie Halloween 2, which I'll get to really quickly. But I watched 2018, and I really enjoyed that. I ain't even check Creative Control for Halloween Kills review. But anyway, but no, I watched the Rob Zombie one, and I thought it was fucking turd, man. The whole film, trash. Just trash. You know, why give Mans a backstory for an hour and a half? I don't want to know about how Michael Myers is. You take away the horror of what makes that character great by giving him a backstory. Like, I don't care about that shit. Just have him killing people. Have him killing people. But yeah, Halloween holds up. It's sick. Next year I'll probably do either Jason or Freddy. I don't know. You guys can take a vote on it.
Freddy.
And yeah.
Freddy.
No votes. Freddy.
Okay. Any more thoughts on Halloween before we move on? No. And it was less about the goriness and the detail. Yeah. And it was less about the goriness and the killings. It was the build-up to the killing. You know, most of it was just a stab. You know, 1 or 2 stabs into the chest or into the back or whatever. Not a big deal. But it is that build-up, the anticipation of when it's going to happen. And for me, that's what makes horror much more. And that's why Halloween Kills. Yeah, that's why Halloween Kills. Yeah, some of the deaths were kind of brutal, but it didn't have that same build-up for me. But any other thoughts on Halloween?
Well, I mean, it had to, like I said, it's the birth of the slasher genre.
Mm-hmm.
No Halloween, no Freddy Krueger, no Jason.
Mm-hmm.
There's no Scream without Halloween.
That's it. And that actually comes on nicely to my pick, because I'm going for the more modern day horror, which is Scream.
Good man. Good man.
For me, that was a defining movie cinema experience. It was, again, I was never really into horror movies, but it was the way it deconstructed the horror movie within itself, and played on the cliches, and it added that humor into it as well. But the surprise, I mean, that opening scene with Drew Barrymore is just, like Neil said, chef's kiss. That is just so well done. And if you think what it launched like this huge amount of parodies. It reinvigorated the horror genre at the time. So you had like, I know what you did last summer and all that kind of stuff.
Urban Legend came out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Faculty.
Yeah. And so for me,
everybody's Halloween costume at the time.
That Scream mask, just became a staple for years. When the second movie came out, we were working at the cinema then. Was it the third movie? So we were dressing up in the cinema for it, and basically I donned the mask, the cap, the whole thing, and me and my friend James, we actually hid underneath the curtains at the front of the screen, and we waited for the opening credits to start, and then we dashed out from underneath the curtains to scare the audience and stuff like that. I was sat in the front row once before, and people were coming in and stuff like that, and I kept turning around in the Scream mask going shh, because people were talking and stuff like that. And then all the ushers came in. I think Sacha was one of the ushers as well. All the ushers came in asking for me my ticket. So I got up and I just stabbed them all, and they just dropped down on the floor. So we made some real theatricals of it. It was so much fun working at a time with Halloween and stuff like that.
Jealous.
It was brilliant. And I would stand outside the auditorium like a statue and not move, and then just like lunge at people and stuff like that and freak some people out. It's good times. So that sticks with me for lots of different reasons. That, obviously that I really enjoy the franchise as a whole. Really excited to see what they do with the new one that's coming out. But that first one, that sits in there for me. So, any other thoughts on Scream?
Scream, I think, was my high school horror film.
Yeah.
It was the ones that came out when I was in high
It's
school.
like the American Pie to high school movies for our generation.
Exactly. And I remember them coming out, and I didn't watch them in cinema because we weren't allowed to, because it was rated R and we were all underage. And so we all watched it at home on tape, because it was on tape at that time.
VHS boy.
And,
I totally
we used to have,
agree with
like,
Ken,
cinema parties where all of us get together at someone's house and watch it. And the game was to scare the crap out of our own friends, while watching the film. We never finished that film because we always scared somebody too much that they got angry and a fight ensued. Or, popcorn everywhere. One guy goes, "Fuck this, I'm going outside." Trying to steal some cigarettes or some shit like that. Steal the dad's booze or something, I don't know. Jumped in his pool, whatever. So, yeah, I never finished those films until when I went to college. Because I never saw the ending of those ones.
Funny though, right? Like, me,
it was fun.
I think Scream is... Well, I mean, to be blunt, Wes Craven has a habit of redefining horror.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to my count, he did it 3 times. He did it with A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Mm-hmm.
He did it with Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
And then he repeated that with Scream.
About the Hills Have Eyes. Another one.
Oh, yes. I like the first one.
Yeah, because with Freddy Krueger, with A Nightmare on Elm Street, it took the element of you escaping and got rid of it.
Yeah.
Because you never, let's face it, when it comes to horrors or slasher movies, as long as you're a fast runner who doesn't trip over thin air, you're good, right? You watch almost every horror film, barely anybody who runs away trips over something, right? It's not a branch. It's not. They'll be running in the woods and they will trip over, elf's feather that's falling, right?
That's true.
They will trip over they will trip over a snowflake.
Yeah, and it's
that
the
has
constant
yet to
look over
fall
the
from a
shoulder.
tree. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, as long as you're a good runner and keep your head focused, aimed at what's in front of you, you're surviving. You're good, right? But with Freddy, it's like, oh yeah, you can run away, but you fall asleep. Good night.
Yeah.
And
So,
then
John Carpenter's actually got 2 on our list, and Wes Craven's got 2 on our list. So
because they're the kings,
masters of the genres, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some of the shouts out we had on Twitter for people's favorite horror movies. So I want to see what you guys think, and then we're going to come to consensus which of those we're going to add to our list. Some we've probably already covered. So at Roulette Cinema said Evil Dead 2.
No.
I've not seen it.
Okay, so we got no from Neil, but a thumbs up from Sacha.
No, that's a brilliant film. I can't lie. That's definitely
Hell
one of the
Interesting.
yes.
Definitely.
It's a brilliant film.
Hell
but I'm
yes.
like, it's the scary movie of possession films. It's not a horror movie.
But that's why I
The
love
first
it.
Evil Dead, the first Evil Dead, and the last Evil Dead movie are horror films. The 2 in the middle, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, they're not horror films. They're comedy films that take place in a horror setting.
Comedy horror.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, like you watch Evil Dead 2 and you see the bit where the hand's like running across the floor and then he shoots it, he misses, and the hand's like and runs off. Like, that's hilarious. It's not like, it's not like you want. When I say a horror film, I want a horror film.
We
Not
could probably do a whole
film has
separate
that
category
problem,
of
doesn't
like
it?
comedy horrors, couldn't we? But
yeah,
No, but that's the thing. A lot of serious horror film has that trouble of keeping it to become, to remain horror and not becoming comedy.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times you watch it and you start, laughing your butt off, like, come on.
Halloween Kills is
Well,
not
yeah,
a
That
comedy.
cannot happen. But Evil Dead is one of those. Yeah. It easily switches to comedy.
Okay, so we'll
For a
come back to
while.
that. So we've got at Shoot the Flick, they said The Thing, which has made our list. So good shout out there.
Yep.
At Film Vloggers, they said Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's on my list.
Yeah.
personally,
I like
I never
that.
liked that film.
No.
Yeah, I didn't like it either. I hated that film.
Oh, shit. I like the remake. Sorry.
I like the remake too,
I like
but I do like both.
the original, the old one. I was just like, this is like proper shit.
Yeah, I only seen the
Did you see the
remake. of
original?
that. No, I've never seen the original. I saw the remake when we were working in the cinema, and I couldn't really remember much of it other than like people on meat hooks and stuff, and I was just like, cool. Like it doesn't stick with me. But I saw the remake. Maybe the OG one probably is better. I don't know, but I can't. You know what I mean? I don't know. Not.
It's the idea of being completely alone in the middle of nowhere, and a guy is running after you. It's that. It's the same. Sorry.
Sorry, like to interrupt.
Yeah.
When Ridley Scott made Aliens, or Alien, sorry, he said he wanted to make, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in space. And what he made is better than the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Well, I definitely give you that Alien is better than Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I do like that too. I don't know why. I feel like it's a classic. It's something. It is that, in the boonies, a crazed maniac is running around with a chainsaw, and he'll get you.
Yeah.
Rob Zombie's Halloween is better than Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Wow, that's a statement. That's a statement.
Shots fired. Don't come for me. I'm serious.
That's a
all right,
statement.
at Film Vloggers, you'll be able to find Neil on Twitter or Instagram, so just watch out for his social media tag at the end. At your next favorite movie, said The Exorcist. That's made our list, so that's cool. At Geek Peak Pod, they had two. They had one which was The Descent.
Good film.
Oh yes.
Strangers, never seen it.
What was the other one?
The Strangers.
The Strangers. Both excellent
Strangers.
films, but we're talking about the top 10 here, right? If we're talking top 50, it's in there. Top 25 even, it's probably in there. But you talk about the top 10. You want the absolute 10 best.
Yeah.
There are films there are films that are already in this list that I'm like, it's dubious whether they should be in the top 10, but they're in there already.
Yeah,
so we got to be real
and
careful
a lot of
about
it
them
depends on
last
your
four spots.
experiences. It depends on your age, your experiences, what you're introduced to when you'll take to a certain type of movie, and if you see something else, it doesn't quite hit in the same spot. So, at Nomads of Fantasy Podcast, they said Halloween, which we've got. At Carol DJ5, she said The Entity. Has anyone seen this?
Ooh, I love that movie.
Okay.
That's actually on my list.
Okay, Lisa, tell us a little bit about The Entity.
Well, Entity is about this. It's about. I'm sorry to say, but it's about this poltergeist that basically repeatedly rapes and abuses this woman.
Oh, damn, Carol!
And everybody thinks that's crazy, yeah. And the poltergeist starts hurting her children, everything. Yeah, her boyfriends that come over, she doesn't know how to deal with it. So she goes to this this team of scientists that basically feel as though they can match science against obviously this entity. So it's like they try to do certain things to try and trap it. Like they try to freeze it, and they literally no one believes her up until they put her into the situation, as in they go around there with the cameras and they see what starts happening to her. And what's crazy is the fact that obviously they said that this movie was based on a true story as well. Do you know what I mean? But the fact is, what made it scary as well was the fact that it wasn't just happening in the house. Because most horror films, let's just leave the house and everything would be all right. It's like the spirit was attached to her. So certain times when she was driving her car, it would literally just attack her randomly.
Okay.
It wouldn't try to have sex with her, but it would literally try and force her off the road and make her do crazy things. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of time people didn't believe her until the spirit just didn't care, and it attacked her at her friend's house. When she thought she went to her friend's house, it was attacking her there. So it was crazy. You know what I mean? It was how do you escape this spirit that's attached itself to her? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Has anybody else seen it?
Film. Nope.
Yeah.
How graphic is this film, Dave?
Yeah, the film is the funny thing about it is graphic. You do see her basically lying butt naked on the bed, and she's screaming help me, and you can see you can see the woman getting pinned down, and it's sometimes you'll see people saying, I can't see what's there doing this to you, what's happening, you know what I mean? But a lot of the time what's made it played on your mind is the fact that the spirit was doing this in front of their kids.
Wow. Okay.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So it was deep in that sense, you know what I mean? It was actually deep in that sense. So and the thing is, there was no kind of comedy element to it.
Yeah.
It was just serious for the whole film from the get go. It was literally, this is serious. You know what I mean? And it's how do you escape this? But the whole fact of the exorcism of Emily Rose, how they bring the kind of scientific factor with religion and whatnot. This is what they done with this movie first. Right. So it was how do you stop this poltergeist? You know what I mean?
A lot of sorry, please continue.
And it's basically they just didn't know how to do it. But it was a deep film, man. It was. I'll say it was definitely up there, one of my scariest films I've ever watched.
Okay, interesting. Okay,
100%.
That's a great shout from Carol there. I hadn't heard of this movie, and I looked it up a little bit. It was 1982. It was released, and the director, funnily enough, is Sidney J. Furie, who directed Superman 4.
Okay.
So he did one rape film, and then he raped Superman. Right. Sorry.
What the hell?
God.
Okay, so we'll see if that makes our list when it comes down to the voting. We've got at Nostalgia Nate. He had The Exorcist, which we have. He had Nightmare on Elm Street, which we have. We mentioned The Shining. Does anybody else have it on their top 10?
Nope.
No,
Yes.
no.
That film would have made my top
Sacha,
1,000.
you do. Okay.
Mhm.
Is that because
Hello?
you haven't seen many horrors, or is it just because you feel it's a good horror?
Oh, The Shining?
Mm.
Oh, yeah, no, I love The Shining, man. I just love it as a movie. It doesn't matter about horror. or whatnot. It's just fucking great. Fucking one of Jack's best performances ever. I fucking love it. I really know. Yeah, look, here's the thing. Yeah, it's not like horror, but the tension is definitely there throughout that movie. And, you know, you've got fantastic performances all round, especially Shelley Duvall, you know. But yeah, man, I love The Shining, man. Fuck you, Neil. Give me the seal of disapproval.
Sorry. That film is so dead. It's one of the worst horror films I've ever seen in my life.
I personally think it's overrated as well. I've never quite.
I've
never quite got the fascination with it.
Thinking about how shit that
Wow.
Okay, all right. So, also, Nostalgia Nate said Friday the 13th. So, is that in anybody's top 10?
It's the first one is brilliant, but it's not there. It'd be in the top, maybe top 25, but not the top.
Interesting. Dude Loft Mountain, he says Sinister.
Sinister. That sounds familiar.
Sinister was a bit.
I've not seen it.
I haven't seen it personally.
It was a scary film, though.
It's good. I mean, there's one moment in there that it was literally like, for me, it was like a holy shit when it happens. Like, everybody knows the lawnmower.
Ah, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I think I've seen
Sure of this thing when I was working at the cinema, but I don't have this. I have not watched this film.
Yeah, nah.
The thing is, with Sinister, it kind of plays on the element that, like, the demon was using kids to kill their parents and shit like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's why I didn't let my kids watch that film at all. Like,
I'm like, you ain't watching this till you're old enough to have your own kids.
Yeah, I mean,
then fear is on you.
But that's what the demon was doing. He was getting into the kids' minds to let them kill their parents. It was crazy, like.
Okay.
And the deep part, Ethan Hawke was going into like the investigation of the story, is like it was more manifesting like the demon to come towards his family. It was crazy. It's a crazy film, man. It's a good film, though.
And the last two both voted for the same movie. Our friend James at the Jimbola and also at Cine Scare, they both said Jaws.
Yep.
I didn't think about that.
It is a horror movie. It is definitely a horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had that on my list.
Yeah, that was in my top 10, actually.
Yeah.
Jaws is there's a thing with certain horror films. This is obviously my personal opinion. There's a thing with horror films that a really good horror film stays with you after you've left the screen. And anytime you're close to that, the proximity of that, you should feel uneasy. So if, the Blair Witch Project, all in all, isn't great. But the way the film is strategized, the way they strategized that film, made it great. And there are people who, even to this day, if they're driving at night in a wooded area and the speed limit's 40, they're doing 52. Not trying to be.
But didn't Jaws make people be afraid to go in the water?
Jaws did that. Jaws did that. That's what I was alluding to. Jaws did that. There's a lot of people who did not go swimming in the sea because they watched Jaws.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, of the movies that we've shouted out on Twitter, what are we going for to fill our 7th spot? So I'll just remind you some of them again.
The ones that we already picked.
Yeah. So we've got Evil Dead 2, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Descent, The Strangers, The Entity, Friday the 13th, The Shining, Sinister, or Jaws.
Jaws for sure.
All of them, I think. The scariest film in that list is The Entity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, The Entity. It's definitely The Entity. One thing I can say though, Ken, like I'm shocked. Like nobody mentioned, just like what Neil was saying about a film that takes you out of your atmosphere, something that you see all the time. No one mentioned Candyman.
Thank you. That was on my damn list. I was waiting. Right?
I'm a bit shocked.
That
film made me scared to even say his name. I'm still scared to say his name in the mirror. Like,
I rewatched Candyman like a few months ago, and I was just like, yeah, it didn't hit home in the same way because I wanted to watch it again before the new one, and I was just like,
But
I've got plenty of.
you got any reflective that Spider-Man poster you got behind you, right? There's glass in front of it, yeah?
Yeah.
Candyman 5 times.
Candyman. What?
I'd like to take this moment to say that
This will be my final podcast.
If Ken wake up tomorrow, yeah. Control will still be in good hands.
All right. So on these ones, I'm going to go for Jaws. Anybody else?
Yeah, Jaws.
Yeah, okay.
All right, it's a majority vote.
I mean, I would have.
Jaws.
Jaws wins.
Jaws makes the list.
I'd say The Shining and The Evil Dead, but I know that a lot of people didn't like either of them. So yeah,
Nah, I like Jaws, and I mean Evil Dead too, but
it's
I'm not sure if I could have rated that high.
Top 10.
All right, so we got 3 more.
I mean, when they were talking about Entity, I kept on thinking about Poltergeist.
Oh,
the actual Poltergeist, the movie.
Yeah.
I
The
like
Entity
that.
sounds crazy.
I
I
love
probably have to check that out. But okay, so we got 3 spots to fill. Okay, so Candyman. Neil, you mentioned it.
Yep.
Lee, you mentioned it. That's both on your list, is it?
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
High on my list.
Okay.
Yeah, very high on my list.
I'm gonna make a note of it because it will vote on it. See if that one comes onto it. What have other people got? What else have we got?
From Dusk Till Dawn.
Dusk Till Dawn. Dusk Till Dawn is fun.
I know.
More than
That's
horror.
not a horror movie. It's just a film that has vampires in it.
Did anybody watch 1408 or?
Yep. Yes, I did.
Stephen King's
Saw it,
1408.
I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Steve what's his, John Cusack, is it?
Yep.
it was. Yeah,
Yeah, John Cusack.
and John
Samuel
Cusack's
L.
other film, Identity.
Yeah.
I like that too.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got like a lot of films on my list, but Silent Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
I'll
Silent.
give you that.
I like Silent Hill as well.
Okay.
That's also
From the new movies,
that's also the
Silent
best
Hill
video
was
game
one of my
adaptation.
favorites.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Silent
But
Hill.
No, if we're talking about the game Silent Hill, then yes. But the first film was not strong enough for me.
No,
I like the first
I
film.
liked it too.
I liked it too. Second film, not really. First I did. But what it called Dracula. I would consider that horror.
Yeah.
Would you say Dracula?
Which one? The one with Gary Oldman?
With Gary Oldman.
Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, every Dracula, most Dracula films are based on the story of Bram
But these
Stoker.
are becoming more like thriller because we're so used to it.
But, yeah.
But when Dracula came out, I mean that was a thing, wasn't it? Like it's at least scared the
But
pants
I
off
think
me.
it wasn't. I don't think it was scary so much as it was more like the tragic love story
Mm-hmm.
that
And a really dodgy
kind
accent.
of. You leave Keanu Reeves alone.
Keanu Reeves. Yeah.
Sean, what else did you have on your list?
I got Event Horizon.
Oh, I love that film. I do.
Yeah, that was a good film.
It was a Sam Neill, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
I got a thing about space horrors.
So do I.
You know what?
I'm
I
the same
have
here.
no problem with that. I got no problem with that.
But yeah,
Who was that?
We'll go around. Everybody can rattle off the rest of their list, and we'll see majority. Do we add it to the short list or not? So, Lee, you had Event
All right.
Horizon. What else did you have?
Event Horizon. The original miniseries with
Okay.
Tim Curry. I don't know if that's a film though, because it was like a mini TV series. But
It's a TV movie.
Oh, it's so good though.
Yeah, it was a TV movie. Hey, but look, it that came out recently was I love that movie.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Definitely.
as well, Hostel.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I had Hostel.
That one, yeah. Oh, for that,
Okay.
I would say Saw as well because it's from the same, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That was
So,
horrific,
Sasha,
that
what else
film.
did you have?
The Faculty.
Oh yeah.
Strong. Yeah.
Neil's like, no.
I like that film.
It's a beautiful movie. Like I'll watch it.
Yeah,
day
yeah.
in.
Robert Rodriguez. I remember that.
What else you have, Sasha?
Tusk. because that film's fucked up.
I ain't putting Tusk on here. No.
Hashtag Walrus, yes.
We're doing a top 10 batshit crazy movies, then we'll add it. But I've added Saw to the list. I added Psycho.
Yeah.
Psycho.
Yeah.
And what was the other one I was thinking of?
I don't know, The Grudge and The Ring. I mean, those films also made a big impact during the
The Ring,
early 2000s.
for sure. And Blair Witch Project. Blair Witch Project as well.
Yeah. The Conjuring. That's what I mean.
Yeah, the Conjuring, 100%.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Neil, what else did you have on your list?
Well, my top 4 are already in,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm quite proud about that. I had The Ring,
Mhm.
the Japanese one, the original Japanese one. I had Candyman,
Mm-hmm.
Blair Witch Project,
Mm-hmm.
Wes Craven's New Nightmare,
Mm-hmm.
Kerry, the original,
Mhm.
1977, and Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think I have to increase this to a top 20.
This is part
Yeah, but the thing is,
Could a
more like a
case
top
be
50.
made for
Well-
The Terminator? Not
No.
Terminator 2, but The Terminator.
No.
Considering that it was a horror.
I mean, it is a horror film.
It kind of is, but that's going to be on a lot of other lists. So
Yeah, but I would say, to be honest,
To recognise
there is one
it.
film which it really needs to go in. There's one film that really needs to go in, and that's Wreck.
Rosemary's Baby.
No, Wreck.
Oh.
Wreck.
Yeah.
Spanish
Wreck.
Wreck. That
Yeah.
really needs to go in.
I don't think I've
Lee
seen
D,
it.
what else did you have on your list?
Besides some of
Mhm.
the ones you lot said, I said, what did I say? I said, wait, me wrong. I had Oculus.
Mm-hmm. I haven't heard of that myself.
You had what?
Oculus.
Oh,
You know, with the
yeah.
film, they couldn't smash the mirror. There was something about the mirror that was basically scary. I had that.
That's got
That
Karen
That
Gilliam
was
in
definitely a
it.
scary film for me.
Nebula.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I had The Mist as well.
Yeah. I've not seen it. But yeah.
Mist
You know
is
what?
good. I also like the ending.
The
The thing
Mist
is-
and the end for me, like, was just like, it was mind blowing, like, but it was
The
definitely
end-
a scary film, man.
Yeah.
Like, how the hell did they leave there? Like, you know what I mean? I had Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead as well.
Holy shit! that
Oh,
film is
yeah.
good.
That movie's good.
Okay.
That film,
Dawn of the Dead.
actually unnerved me because that's the first time I ever saw a zombie run.
Especially the woman that had the zombie when she was pregnant.
Yeah.
That was sick, but it was just like, oh shit, like, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, yeah. And I had Trick or Treat. That was up there as well. That was like definitely.
Lee, sir, you and I are on a very, very, very similar page, sir. That
They knew that's why I made a horror film with you, bro.
movie is brilliant. Like I didn't put Krampus here because I'm sure that like when December hits, we're gonna be like, you know, top 10 Christmas movies. And Krampus is going in that motherfucking list.
Okay, so
But
there's some ones we haven't mentioned, which I'm surprised, like The Omen. Was that on anybody's?
I said it before, but
I
I
mean-
didn't put it on.
there are films, you know what? There are films that I initially thought of, but I discounted them for like various reasons. Like I didn't think they're scary enough, or they weren't iconic enough. They didn't they didn't set the bar. So you know, like things like you know, the films that we have in there. You know, Halloween set the bar because it created the slasher genre.
Mhm.
The Exorcist set the bar because you know it really instilled fear into people on a religious level. If you were Catholic, you felt that shit. You know, A Nightmare on Elm Street, it changed the game in regards to horror movies because it took away your ability to run away. Scream changed the game because it's about the generation of teenagers who were, I mean, essentially, all of us were the Scream generation of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you think some of the conversations you've seen in that film, you've had some of them conversations.
But Omen
It's
changed the way to making you feel like all kids are devils.
No
yeah,
child's play.
Literally.
like Child's. I feel like Child's Play would be more effective than the Omen in regards to like something to do with children, because I ain't ashamed to say it. I saw Child's Play far too young, and I was young enough that I still had my plastic Sword of Omens from Thundercats. Let me tell you, when that film finished and I went to bed, every single thing on my bed went on the floor except for that sword. And I was like, if any one of you action figures even the wind touch you, it's a wrap.
Tell you what got me recently. 2 films that got me recently. One, not so much a horror, but has horror elements. But Hereditary and Midsommar.
Yeah.
I haven't seen either.
Well, Midsummer was too damn long, man. It was a good film.
You know what? Surprisingly,
but it
I
was
haven't seen
long.
either of them.
You haven't seen?
Serious? You need to watch
I'm
Hereditary.
gonna watch
man.
them both, but
Hereditary.
like I haven't seen either of them because Hereditary got spoiled for me.
Oh, really?
Because I now know like 2 big things about it, including the ending.
Oh.
And Midsommar, somebody put up a meme about it, and I was like, I understand the reference because of the meme, so I now have a fair idea about what I think is going to happen.
Okay. Seen this.
Yeah, Midsummer's a good film. Hereditary definitely as well. But yeah, like probably like top 50 horrors. I'll throw them in there.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
definitely not like
The Conjuring really needs to go in there, though.
No Love for Jennifer's Body?
Yeah, The Conjuring. That's a.
Say again? No Love for
Jennifer's Body?
Nah.
Hey, that film's alright. That film's quite.
Is that a trick?
I really like that.
Neil, man.
It's like Evil Dead 2. It's like, okay, just because you have blood and death in it, that don't make you a horror film.
What about Final Destination?
So no Planet Terror then.
Ooh. No.
Final Destination.
Final Destination.
Oh man, there were those like kill
I
things as quickly as
film.
possible films.
I discredit that film because it touches on my only fear.
Which one?
So it's too scary.
Final Destination. No, it's not. The film is too scary for me, but my fear happens in the film. So I'm like, no, I watched it once. I've never watched it again. I ain't never gonna watch it again. I've watched all the rest of them. I've seen, and I'm like, yeah, you're all right. But that first one, I'm like, no, fuck it.
Okay. Talk about some recent films then. His House, for modern horror, that was pretty good.
It Follows.
What about Get Out?
It was okay.
I loved
You know
his
what?
house. His house was amazing.
I wouldn't class Get Out as a horror film.
Is it like a psychological horror?
Psychological. Yeah, it's like the psychological. Even like Us is more of a horror film than Get Out. I mean, if we're talking about like modern times, I know several of you gentlemen in the podcast group are not fans of it, but I watched Malignant
Haven't seen it
recently,
yet.
and I was like, damn, I love that movie.
Yeah,
that was a good film. I like that.
That movie's dope.
That was a good film.
Right,
I know this podcast group is gonna chastise me as soon as they hear this.
All right.
But sorry.
We'll start thinning this out now because we've only got 3 spots to fill. One other one, a couple of more that I just want to throw in there. Shaun of the Dead. Now, is that more comedy than horror? So that would be more of a comedy movie.
Yeah.
But what about A Quiet Place?
I've not seen it.
You know what? It's hard because A Quiet Place is so. It's atmospheric, but I wouldn't classify it as like a horror. It's not scary. It's like a science fiction thriller almost.
Suspense thriller. That's what I will call it.
Yeah, like Event Horizon is a horror film in space. Alien is a horror film in space. Like they're horror films that involve science fiction.
Yeah, A Quiet Place has
What
got like
about
the
It
horror
Follows?
concept, but it doesn't quite do the horror part.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to start thinning these out now. So We'll go majority verdict whether to keep him into the final shortlist before we hit our 3. So, Candyman, in or out?
In.
That's 3. All right, we'll keep it in. Silent Hill.
Yeah, in.
I like it. And
1 in.
but it's not with the top 10, so yeah, let's leave it.
Event Horizon.
In.
Yeah, in.
Yeah.
It.
In.
In.
I love that one.
Okay. Hostel.
What, the remake or the old school?
All of it.
Just It.
Yeah.
Nah, out.
Hostel.
Which one?
Hostel.
Hostel. No.
It's probably more just gore rather
It's
than
a
horror.
gory.
And I'd probably
Yeah.
say the same for Saw. That's more, again, atmospheric. It's not horror as such. You know, we could do a whole separate
scary.
podcast on psychological horrors. Do you know what I mean? So that, for me, is more psychological.
Yeah. I'd look at Saw in the same light that I'd look at a film like Seven.
Yeah. Okay. The Faculty.
Nah.
I really do like Faculty, but it's more
like
of
it.
I
It
love
made
it.
our top 10 high school
horror.
movies, but we're going to take it out.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. It's already in the top 10. Because
Psycho.
nah, not for me.
I don't care
It
for
probably
it.
wasn't our generation. I think others may
Yeah.
feel it is.
Yeah.
Maybe just not for us.
Yeah.
Okay. The Ring.
Yes.
Yep. In.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
The Conjuring.
Wait.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
to be sure, original Japanese ring,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
American ring.
Yeah.
OG
Yes,
Japanese
original.
ring. That shit scared the shit out of me for weeks.
Blair Witch Project.
I think, yeah.
I think it
Blair
should
Witch-
go in.
Yeah.
but-
Initial shock.
For me, it didn't
Yeah.
deliver until
But if you
that very
watch it
final
again,
scene
it's
where
not
you
the
see him
same.
in the corner. I was like, oh, but you know, there wasn't enough for me to be. I love the premise. I love the marketing of it. I like the idea of it, but it just didn't do enough for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, I think it's that thing of like the experience of the Blair Witch Project is better than the film.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you
the
went
whole
in
thing of
wanting to
at that
feel a
time,
certain
you know, the
thing. You felt
internet isn't
certain
what it is
elements of
today.
that.
So you're like, yeah,
Yeah, it's good. But again, it might make a top 20, but not a top 10. Carrie.
I'm not going to put a
Actually,
vote on that.
no.
Me, I don't
You know
think
what?
It's enough horror.
I've
Yeah,
not seen
if I'm
it.
honest, I have to discredit, even though it's my suggestion, it's in my list. I have to discredit it because very much like The Thing, there is one moment in that film. That one moment is like iconic, and that one moment actually set a trend in horror films. The ending of that film set the trend in horror films of
Yeah.
the final scare.
Yeah. Okay, Paranormal Activity. It was huge at the time when it came out. It was all anybody could talk about.
It was actually good. I would actually put
Yeah.
it a yes, probably. I liked it, man. That was actually quite scary.
All right, we'll leave it in for now. Rec, I think we all say is going to be in.
Yeah.
Oculus, I don't know this, so
I don't know either.
It's
probably out just because we don't have enough people knowing it. So,
okay.
The Mist.
Yeah,
I
no,
gotta say
you know
no.
what I like.
Because it's just,
Good in top
again,
10.
the ending.
Mhm.
If we make a list of top 10 endings, The Mist is going in there.
Cool.
Mist might win it.
Dawn of the Dead.
Did you say Dawn of the Dead or Shaun of the Dead?
Dawn.
No, Dawn.
This was Zack
Dawn.
Snyder's Dawn. of the Dead.
Yeah, I want it in there.
Look, smile on his face.
You guys have to find it out, and then we got Trick or Treat. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely gotta go in there.
All right, so we've got
Trick or
1, 2,
Treat.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 films to fill 3 spaces. So battle is on. So it comes back. Candyman, does it make it? For me, it doesn't get a vote.
does. It doesn't make it for the
Top 3 you send,
I
right?
promise you, if you put out a tweet right now and ask how many people, no lie, are willing to stand in front of a mirror and say Candyman 5 times.
I put a tweet out and no one mentioned Candyman. So
say again.
I put a tweet out and no one mentioned Candyman in their top.
Get more followers, bro.
But I'm saying, like, if you like everyone,
Are there better films on the list?
Yes.
Yeah, but
what's the list? What is the list?
I'm not disregarding Candyman as a good horror movie, but we've got 3 spots to fill.
No,
is it better than the rest on the list?
It's better than some of the films on the list.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's better.
Okay, so it's better than our films on the list. So we'll leave it there for now. So Event Horizon.
That film is so good.
It's really good, but I'm not sure if it'll make the top 3 though. But it's really good. And Event Horizon also reminded me of another one, Conjuring, but let's forget adding in more films.
What else?
Event Horizon. Is it staying in or is it we dropping it now?
I would say yes.
I'm actually not too bothered whether it's on the list or not.
I really like the film.
Okay, well, okay. So when I was cutting him, you all said like The Ring, right? The Ring has to go on the list.
Yeah.
The Ring.
You know what? I'm comfortable with Event Horizon going as long as Rec makes it.
All right. So do we say okay? But does The Ring make the list? Does that make the top 10?
Yeah, I would say The Ring has to make the top 10.
I feel
The Ring was most people's introduction to Japanese horror.
Mm-hmm.
Was
The Ring?
Yeah.
All right, The Ring's going in,
and it is actually scary.
The Ring's going in. Okay, so we've got The Conjuring. Are there better films on the list?
Not that many better films on the list, but I'm willing to. I'm comfortable to see it go.
We'll probably throw The Conjuring in. To be fair, I reckon it kind of set like that kind of new school horror, like set that kind of bars and new school horror films. Like you know what I mean, like need something. There was a time when there was just dead horror films coming out, and it was actually a good horror film that came out when it came out like in the summer.
Okay, so what would you put in? Would you put in The Conjuring or Paranormal Activity?
Conjuring.
I'll probably put The Conjuring in.
Yeah.
The Conjuring over it, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, so Paranormal Activity is coming out. What about It?
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's difficult.
Oh, that's what my Pennywise, man.
I think that it has to go in over.
Might do it. It might.
Yeah.
I like Conjuring, but it for me, it just You know
what it is? You know why it is scary for me personally?
Clowns.
No, it's not even. Well, firstly, a lot of people have a problem with clowns. I don't understand why. Because it's a clown.
Because they watch it.
Yeah. Well, maybe. But I'm just like, I've watched all versions of it. I've read the book, and I'm just like, clown is scary. But that said, what the thing about it is, it terrorizes children. Pennywise, the clown entity, whatever you want to call it, it terrorizes children. So it terrorizes the exact people who would have, quote unquote, an illogical fear.
Yeah.
And the book actually I found it more scary than the films.
Yeah, it is definitely more scarier than the
Crazy
films.
book. Crazy book.
Yeah.
Okay.
But at least it doesn't.
Crazy
At
book.
least none of the films had the big brass ones to put in that scene. You know what I'm talking about, Sal.
All right. So we'll come back to that then. So Trick or Treat. I haven't seen it. Who besides Lee and Neil, has anybody else seen it? Trick or Treat.
I've not seen it.
You guys are going to have to fight for this if you want to Trick or Treat in this top 10 because you're the majority vote. We won't be able to vote in.
I can see it go. I'm comfortable with it.
All right, it's going to have to go.
Well, I'm not comfortable with it going, but I can accept
All
it
right,
going.
Dawn of the Dead. Stays or goes?
No, it's good film.
Dawn.
Are there better films on the list that deserve it more than Dawn of the Dead?
There are better zombie films that we never mentioned, so I think.
Yeah, 28 Days Later. I don't know. It just.
I mean, the 28 Days Later. There's the original the Living Dead.
You could do a top 10 zombie films, couldn't you, really?
We could, absolutely. Okay, right. So now we've got
That's just one way of getting out.
okay, we got 3 spots, 5 films. Okay? Candyman, Event Horizon, It, The Conjuring, Wreck.
Wreck goes in.
Wreck goes in.
Wreck has to go in.
I feel
Yeah,
Wreck
Wreck.
has to go in.
Yeah.
Wreck has to go in.
Okay, Wreck goes in. All right, you got to lose 2. You got to lose Candyman, Event Horizon, It, and The Conjuring. 2 of those 4 have got to go.
I would say
Get rid of
Right,
It
let's
and
go around the
Conjuring,
room.
go
Lee,
Candyman.
who are you? Which 2 are you dropping? Candyman.
What were the 4 again?
So
What were the
we got 4. We got Candyman, Event Horizon, It, and The Conjuring. You got to lose 2. Which 2 do you lose? Or which 2? Actually, which 2 do you pick? Which 2 do you pick? Candyman, Event Horizon, It, The Conjuring.
Well, say for me, it'd be Event Horizon and It.
Event Horizon and It. Okay, Sacha, what are you going for?
Event Horizon and probably Candyman, to be honest.
Candyman. All right, Sal, what are you going for?
Event Horizon and Conjuring.
Well, Event Horizon is in. All right. I'm gonna come back to Neil because I just want to put the pressure on him. Lee, BD, what are you going for? Which 2 are you picking?
I'll probably pick The Conjuring and Candyman.
Conjuring and Candyman. All right, I'm going for It and Event Horizon. So, Neil, Event Horizon is in. But Candyman, It, and The Conjuring all have 2. So basically, you got to pick one of those to go in. Your vote casts it.
what about the left? What,
You got Candyman, It, or The Conjuring.
Sophie's choice, motherfucker. Sophie's choice.
He doesn't like any of them.
All 3 of them are a chef's kiss of a horror film for me. All 3 of them I love. One of them I have yet to watch this year in my horror run.
Probably a reason for that.
No, the reason for it is I didn't realize it was on. I have no access to any of my Blu-rays at this moment in time, so I didn't realize it was on streaming services. Okay. What are my options again? I got
Candyman, It, The Conjuring.
And I have to pick one of them.
Or, because Event Horizon's already in, you can pick 2 of those and we'll go to a final round.
Oh, okay. If that's the case, I'm picking It and Candyman.
All right, so The Conjuring is out.
Sorry, James. James won. You're a legend. You are the new horror master because Wes Craven's gone and John Carpenter's chilling. But
we got 1 spot. Journey, Candyman or It?
It.
Sacha, Candyman or It?
It.
Sal, Candyman or It? Oh, Lee D, Candyman or It?
Candyman.
Neil, Candyman or It?
Why? Why am I picking that?
Hey, my show, I'm picking last.
Ain't this a bitch? Okay.
I'm doing that because if I pick one, you could pick the other and keep it tied, and we're stuck. So you got to pick now, and then if I don't like it, then we'll see.
All right. Okay. All right.
Oh, come on, man. It's just a podcast.
Your legacy. This could be your legacy. It's going to be all over Twitter. It's going to be all over Facebook. It's going to be podcast, iTunes, Spotify.
You're saying all of that.
YouTube.
Like the people that listen to this podcast ain't gonna WhatsApp me. you know what? As much as I love it, I'm sorry, but
It's click. Oh, I love it.
Oh, how long is this going
30
to go on?
seconds. He's going for it.
choose it.
TV series or the new?
All right.
The new ones. The new ones.
It gets my vote as well. So it makes the top 10. That is done. Okay. Oh,
You know what? Like in my head, I was like, it should be Candyman. Should pick Candyman. Candyman stays with you more than it because people won't look in the mirror and say Candyman 5 times. They won't do it. But
I ain't looking down a storm drain either. So okay.
So right now, it's what order is the top 10?
Right. So our top 10, we have no particular order because I ain't going down that road. We've got The Thing, The Exorcist, Alien, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Scream, Jaws, The Ring, Wreck, Event Horizon, and It. That's
It's a
the
good top
strong
10.
list, ladies and gentlemen.
There's a
Good top 10, yeah.
Say that again. Which ones we got?
The Thing, Exorcist, Alien, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Scream, Jaws, The Ring, Wreck, Event Horizon, and It. That's a strong list. That is a strong
Yeah,
list.
I'm happy with that.
Okay, so an amendment to the podcast because we thought we finished on 10 films, we got 11, so we're going to have to cut one out.
Oh, good.
We're going to be here for another half an hour now trying to get it down to
The
10.
easiest way to do it is Event Horizon went in, so it's going to be cut out. I think that's
Oh,
that was
come
the last
on.
one in.
All right.
Oh, that was the
What?
best one.
You made me go through all of that shit.
Yeah,
I'm like, listen, you can send Jaws up the river. It's way better than Jaws. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
we're here for entertainment.
Fuck that baby
We're here
shark.
for entertainment. Jaws is one of the greatest films ever made. What are you talking about?
Jaws is
One
hard.
of the greatest films ever made. Not one of the greatest horror films ever made.
Yeah.
Our audience voted. We voted them in. That's it. All right. So we've got The Thing, The Exorcist, Alien, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Scream, Jaws, The Ring, Wreck, and Event Horizon. That's 10. That's our top 10. Top 11, it would have been It. It's the top 10. So there we go. All right. That's it.
At me on no freaking social media.
Good.
That's it. Now I have a nice edit to where we should have left off. Boom. Oh, all right. That was a good episode. I really enjoyed that. That was cool. So, thank you very much. I have no idea how long we've been chatting for now. Let's have a look.
You kill one of my babies.
Oh, this episode is like an hour and 20 minutes. Damn. Okay, so thank you very much for joining me, gentlemen. Much appreciated. If people want to debate this with you online, where can they find you? Sacha, where can they find you?
At this particular topic, you can find me at my alternative Twitter called IGiveNoShits.com. Or my current Twitter, which is at sashman3@hotmail.com.
Don't give your email
Whatever
address.
it is. I don't know what is my thing. I'm tired, man.
At Sashman3. It's on the screen. You'll see it here. Now, where can
Oh,
they
there we
find
go.
you?
Whatever's on the screen. Yeah.
You can find me on Sal_F1 at Twitter.
Journée.
At Journey81.
Dixon, where can they find you?
Lee_D_film.
On Twitter. Brilliant. Neil, where can they find you?
On Twitter.
You can find me at Don't Debate Me, I Will Hurt You. Twitter.com. Or you can find me at The Neil Coppin on Instagram.
You need to get on Twitter, bro. What's going on? And you can find me at Kenan Talks Film on Twitter. And you can find all our podcasts for Creative Control on YouTube and all major platforms. Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, Good Pods. Actually, Good Pods, we were rated number 1 for TV and film last week, and in the top 100 podcast, we were number 7. So we're doing well. So thank you very much for all your support. We really appreciate it. Please, like, share, subscribe on any platform you can. Give us those reviews and feedback and stuff like that. Let us know your thoughts on the episodes. Let us know the films, what would have made your top 10 list and stuff like that. So thank you very much for joining us. And until next time, peace out.
Peace.